What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday. Hope y'all had a great week. It's been a slow week as far as weather, but I'm starting to see some things on the horizon that really looks like it's going to pick back up, especially as we get into the latter part of next week. So we're going to talk about that. Keep in mind when you see this video, when you see these model runs, you're just one model run that could change to the next, but there has been some consistency that things are going to pick back up. It's going to get active again, and there's going to be some things to talk about. We're getting closer to severe weather season. At the same time, we're not completely out of winter, so we can have dynamic setups where you can have severe weather on one side of a storm, winter weather on the other. So we're going to talk about that. What's the possibility of something like that happening? Chances of severe weather, and we're going to break all that down. We're going to also talk about a little bit about an event overnight. But if you guys have not subscribed, consider doing that. It's a great way to support me. It's slow right now, so growth is probably the slowest it's been since maybe November of last year. And that's because weather on the eastern U.S. has been about as slow as it was since November of last year, right at the tail end of a very active hurricane season. So consider subscribing. It's much appreciated, guys. Y'all have also been an awesome support system. So let's get going here. First off, we're going to look at the HRRR model here. Guys, I would not be surprised at all if areas in North Georgia, maybe even the Oconee area, like far northwestern area, I mean the furthest northwest you can get in South Carolina, I would not be surprised to see some isolated sleet flurries maybe tomorrow morning, especially early. It's very shallow moisture. There's not a lot there. You got like a little bit of influence moisture here from this low pressure, but it's been showing up for a while, for several days, but it's not going to be any more than some brief flurries, maybe north of Atlanta, maybe a brief shower in the Midlands and upstate South Carolina, maybe some flurries, but I would not be surprised. So I wouldn't say you heard it here first, but I would say that do not be surprised, especially in North Georgia. Y'all see some flurries here tomorrow morning. That's about it, though. This is the system we were talking about, though. Earlier this week that had the potential to trend northwest, may be an impactful event for the southeast, but it's really not looking like that now. So we're going to look. This is the 18Z GFS. This is the latest GFS. This is just the operational run, and we're going to check it out here. We're going to get here in time. Well, let's back away. We're a little bit too far. So outside of this system that's going to move through, we got a big time trough that's digging into the area. We have some very dry dew points in place right now across the entire eastern U.S., especially the furthest eastern U.S., because the way this trough is digging like this. It's not really digging like this. So there's definitely high pressure sitting off to the north, and some very, very dry air, chapstick kind of dry air. So when we get through in time, we're probably not going to get any rainfall except Florida out of this system. We're getting into early next week. Look how quiet the country is, very quiet. But I'm watching a trough that I'm telling you, this thing is slowly drifting. It's just taking its sweet time. I'm watching this, and what's going to happen is you're going to have storm systems that ride along it. You got a potential cutoff low trying to come off the west coast here. This is going to combine with energy on top. You still have this trough that's slowly digging. Meanwhile, the southeast and even all the way up into Maine, you're well above average temperature-wise. I'll say this here, and especially in the southeast and just the south in general, you're going to get warmer and warmer the deeper you get into the week next week. So you'll start off, in the 60s, 50s, and 60s for the highs early next week here in the southeast and south mid-Atlantic, and then it'll just get progressively warmer. By the time you get to Friday and Saturday of next week, you could be talking about 70s and 80s for a high before a cold front right here that's slowly going to drift. We've been talking about the 10th to 11th to the 12th time frame for severe weather events somewhere in the Midwest, but I'm not seeing much right now, but we're watching it. We're getting here in time. We're all the way until this time around 7 days out. So we're next Friday. Check out this low pressure here that pops off. It's very interesting. This could be a big time event for the Midwest, but there could be some kind of severe weather also somewhere around this area. You have a sharp trough that's stretching out over the southern plains into the Ohio Valley, and you have some kind of overrunning here. So you have cold air, a lot of cold air. And I tell you, if you don't know this, places like the Front Range, like Denver, places in Wyoming, actually, March is the snowiest month for some of them people. It's crazy. They get the most snow in those months. If you remember, I believe the Denver area got snow in August of last year. It's really weird. They get the most snow in the changing of the seasons. It's just weird how it works there. But this could be just a weird system. We're getting past 200 hours out, so we're getting into next Saturday and Sunday. But this is starting late week next week into early part of next week. So basically, we're talking about mid-March here. I think things are going to get very active. The southeast is still baking in the southeast ridge, but it is really closing in on here. And as it's closing in, you're getting storm systems that's riding this trough. Well, eventually, this thing is going to dig big time here. You see here, and this is where you could potentially, I'm talking about March 14th and March 15th. It's pretty far out, right? So it's not this Monday, but next Monday. But it's just kind of something, a pattern that we're kind of watching. This could be our first severe weather event potentially. Meanwhile, you could have some moisture here, potential winter storm for areas of the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. But that right there, that kind of has a look to severe weather to me. More like I would say it's, not so much with these soundings, no, but this is more of a kind of straight line wind kind of threat, not necessarily a tornado threat. But then again, we can't really talk specifics on something so far out. But basically what I'm trying to get here is, I honestly don't think as we get into next week that it's going to warm up. But guys, it's going to cool down again. What happens here in the change of the seasons, especially March and April, you get very warm. Normally you get a powerful cold front that moves through. It kicks off a nasty line of storms. This is kind of like this in March, and then behind it you get colder than average temperatures. It's just a change in the seasons. It's kind of what happens here. But check out this crazy storm, 288 hours out. Big time trough digging, kicks out a late season winter storm for the south and mid-south, but I don't see that happening. That's just fool's gold there. But check out the European model. It's very active also, but look how quiet it is all the way through about Wednesday. And then that trough starts kicking here. And then we get storm systems to start moving through. I know this really is in the eastern U.S., but look how the trough starts to dig and the moisture gets closer and closer. Now, we're not in high-resolution models, so we can't really see where a thunderstorm is on the GFS and the European. They're not models like this. But look at here. Look at the snow breaking out in the panhandle of Texas. And, look, it kind of shows the system kind of around the same time as the GFS. With cold air pushing in. Not saying we're going to get a winter storm in the south or mid-Atlantic or anywhere, but this is a pattern that could support a winter storm for the northeast. It could support severe weather for certain areas, but basically what we're getting at is it's about to get active again, I think, late next week. But you can tell, look at this trough. This is to me, that looks like a big-time trough trying to cool us back down for mid-March. But normally when you get a big time cool down like that, you normally get some kind of active weather before that, whether that's a severe weather event that introduces cold air or whatever it may be. But you can tell here too, look how quiet we kind of are here, and then look at the winds here. So that tells me that you're getting a lot of energy. This is basically wind speeds, but basically it's because there's low pressures riding this trough. So look how it gets closer and closer to the south here and starts to dig, and then we start to get fire hosed, or whether that be moisture, severe weather, whatever that may be. But you can really look at it with the temperatures here. Check it out here. We're getting into time. We're getting into next week. This is what I'm talking about. Look at the 60s and 70s getting all over here. That's why you run the risk of severe weather up here with any systems. If you're in a warm sector anywhere, yes, there is you can get deep into the science of why a severe weather event could happen. And that is important when you get close to it. But when you're this far out, you just kind of look at a couple ingredients that really is the main components of severe weather. Do you have moist air? Do you got any CAPE? Do you have any colliding of different atmospheres? And this is a good thing to look at here. And check it out here. You got a big time cold front. You can see it. You can see it plain as day right here. Look at it digging. There's two different air masses. Do you have some kind of storm system right along here that's pumping out some kind of severe weather? Not sure, but it's definitely something to watch. But you can tell that there's some kind of cold front here, and it's just separating two massive air masses. This is Friday of next week, and then southeast is just We're loving it. We're getting some nice weather, but look how the cold air starts to clamp down this southeast ridge. That's a very impressive look. Then again, this is pretty far out, and then you get into Sunday, clamps down even more, and then you have that cold, that look. Right there is a look for severe weather. You can tell that that's some kind of front here, and you have some kind of linear event, meaning severe weather. But look at this late season cold air digging in. But this is so far out, guys. 258 hours is la la land for me. But it's something we will watch. There's some changes coming, and you're starting to be able to see it in the kind of the mid-range, but I think it's about to get active again. I'm going to continue to monitor it over the weekend. I'll have a video out tomorrow. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great start to y'all's weekend.